Welcome to Sports Update on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. It's actually a lovely evening to bring to you another sporting word from Trust TV. It's a beautiful evening right here in the city of Abuja, and we'll be starting with a lot of women's sports. We did that in the morning show and we'll continue that in the evening show. But this time around, we're not talking about football, but we'll begin with cricket. Now, let's look at this particular story where the Nigerian yellow and greens, that is the women now, not for the guys. I think both teams are actually preparing for the World Cup qualifiers side by side. But for the women, they began their campaign right there at the Cricket Oval in Benin City, Edo State precisely, where they are preparing for the ICC World Cup qualifier. Will be happening in Namibia. We had in Uganda, I beg your pardon. We have other countries who will be competing in the qualifiers for the ICC World Cup for the women. The men are gearing up for their own T20 qualifiers, while the women are also preparing for their own qualifiers, but will be happening in Uganda. That's for the Nigeria women yellow and green, and coach Leke Oyede will be in charge of these girls, and I think the qualifiers will be coming up in December. That is from the second week of December. It will be happening in Uganda for our Nigerian yellow and green women's cricket team. I think this team has been doing tremendously well with the support coming in from the federation led by Apata. We know that cricket is one sport that in Nigeria a lot of persons don't really let me not say they don't like cricket, but they don't know what cricket is all about. It's it's an interesting sport. If you know what cricket is all about, you love it. If we go to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, West Indies, England, when it comes to cricket, South Africa, they don't joke with cricket sport. It's one of the biggest sports in these countries that I just mentioned, and Nigeria has been tagged as one of the fastest growing cricket loving country in the world and in Africa. So I think the federation, that is Nigerian Cricket Federation, NCF, is doing a lot to see that cricket can become a sport that is a household name in Nigeria, and that is where we are going to tell you the truth. They are doing they lined up programs upon programs. Just of recent, we had the West African Cricket Tour right here in Nigeria. That's for the men, where they won all of their 10 games without losing any of those games at the Tafawa Balewa Over Square in Lagos. That is where that particular event happened just of recent. It's a few weeks ago that event took place right there in Lagos, and it was a good one for the Nigerian yellow-green cricket team. That's for the men. And now for the women, they are preparing for the ICC World Cup qualifiers that will be happening in Uganda. Kudos to that federation and congratulations. We have about 18 players who are invited to that camp. 14 of them will make it. Will be selected. 14 out of 18, and then we know that 4 will probably be dropped. So if you ask me, all of the 18 players that has been invited to the camp are the best hands we have when it comes to cricket in Nigeria. So it's not left for the coach, because it's going to be a lot of headache for selection of players. The likes of Blessing 18, the captain, is still in there. So let's see what these ladies will do when the qualifiers come calling in December. Okay, let's leave the cricket story. Now let's talk about the Super Eagles. We talked about the Super Eagles in the morning show, and now we'll be talking about the Super Eagles also in the evening show. But this time around, the NFF president, that is Ibrahim Musa Gusau, has called on Nigerians, has clamored for support for Super Eagles in that particular game that will be happening by this time on Thursday, tomorrow. That game will be going up right there at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, and the NFF president has clamored for support for the Super Eagles, telling all Nigerians, telling those who are residing in Uyo, telling those who are in Abuja, wherever you are in the country, just find your way down to the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium and give your support to the Super Eagles. Let's not forget that the last time out in Qatar, we were not there. We didn't go to the World Cup because we know what happened. We gave them all of the support they needed for that particular game against the Black Stars of Ghana. At the end of the day, we we got the shocker of our life. But without no gainsaying that anymore, because this time around, I think Nigerians are also ready, and the Super Eagles players, they themselves are also ready, because they are talking tough. They say they want to be in the World Cup. So we are going to give them our support, and that is what the NFF president Ibrahim Musa Gusau is saying. Come on, support the Super Eagles wherever you are. If you cannot make it down to you can just sit in front of your screen and catch some glimpses and catch some wonderful time with the Super Eagles taking on the Crocodiles of Lesotho. So the NFF president has actually clamored for support. We are going to support the Super Eagles because we want to be in US, Canada, Mexico, FIFA World Cup 2026. And the players know that this time around, if they don't get to qualify, then there's going to be a lot of problem. But there's not going to be any problem. But the thing is, Nigerian fans, we know we love football in this country. In this part of the world, football is one of the biggest sports. It's one of the sports we love most. And if you go to every household in Nigeria, they always talk about football. So football is one thing that brings us together. Let the Super Eagles go out there, get the victory against the Crocodiles of Lesotho, and then in a week's time, a few days' time, they will be taking on the Warriors of Zimbabwe right there in Rwanda. Okay, let's leave the Super Eagles story. I don't know if Abba Michael from Plateau State is ready to join me on the show. Okay, he hasn't joined us on the show. When he joins us, then we'll be having him. Okay, let's go straight to this boxing story. Now let's leave football and talk about boxing, where Joshua, that is our own Anthony Joshua, British Nigerian born Anthony Joshua, and wider challengers have been confirmed for their Saudi Arabia clash. Now for Anthony Joshua, he will be fighting Otto Wellin in Saudi Arabia come December 23rd, while Deontay Wilder will also keep a date with Joseph Parker on the same date, on the same night in Saudi Arabia. That same night, the fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk would have been happening also. In fact, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh precisely, would have been on fire, because these boxers they are heavyweights. But for that of Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, that fight has been rescheduled to happen in February next year because of one or two logistics reasons. And let's not forget that Tyson Fury just fought with African and Cameroon, precisely Francis Ngannou, just a few weeks ago. So because of that, Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk's fight that would have happened on the same night where Anthony Joshua is fighting Otto Wellin and Wilder against Joseph Parker. These 4 bouts would have been happening on the same night, but it has been rescheduled. That is for Tyson Fury and Usyk. It has been rescheduled to happen in 2024. And for Anthony Joshua, he cannot wait for this particular bout. We know the last 2 fights against Hellenius, he won those, and then Williams, Jeremy Franklin of US, he won those bouts. That is for Anthony Joshua. So let's see what will happen right there in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, precisely when these bouts will be going on. For Anthony Joshua, he wants to get back to where he used to be in the heavyweight division. We know when you are a heavyweight boxer, you don't fight those who are below your class. So for Anthony Joshua, it's going to be a good one. Let's see him come back to the ring and do what he knows how to do best. He's our own. And after that fight, probably we are going to be seeing Wilder against Anthony Joshua. This fight has been talked for so long. It has been on the news for so long. And eventually, probably, we are heading to a time where that bout Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder will definitely happen. But that fight will not be happening this year. Joshua Wilder fight will not be happening this year. We are looking at next year. That fight will also be coming up. Probably maybe when Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury is also fighting, boxing each other. Anthony Joshua and Wilder will also be in the ring doing the same thing. And let to tell you that Riyadh, that is in Saudi Arabia, has become the center of all of this. It has become a home where the boxing sport, the boxing fight, heavyweight fight is actually a venue for this particular event. So let's leave Dante wider and quickly look at some NBA results. There were NBA games last night right there in the United States of America, the biggest franchise they call it. Let's look at the results of games. Miami Heat beat Charlotte Hornets 111 to 105. Atlanta Hawks beat Detroit Pistons by 6 points, 126 to 120. And then we have Indiana Pacers who defeated Philadelphia 76ers 132 to 126 points. Orlando Magic lost to Brooklyn Nets 124 to 104. San Antonio Spurs lost to Oklahoma City Thunder 123 to 87. Poor one for San Antonio Spurs. We have Dallas Mavericks and New Orleans Pelicans. It ended 131 in favor of New Pelicans to 110 of Dallas Mavericks. We have Portland Trail Blazers lost to Utah Jazz 115 points to 99 points, and LA Clippers lost to Denver Nuggets 108 to 111 points. And then we have Minnesota Timberwolves defeated Golden State Warrior 104 101 in that particular game. It was a very close one. Minnesota Timberwolves actually left it late. They wrapped up victory in just 2 seconds remaining in that particular game between them and Golden State Warriors. The Memphis Grizzlies lost to LA Lakers 103 to 130 points. Those were games that happened in the NBA, and we know the NBA is the biggest franchise in the world. When it comes to NBA, it's just like the way we take football in Nigeria, that is how they take basketball in the United States of America. So those were some games in the NBA that happened right there in the biggest franchise in the world. Now, I said we're going to be talking about the women's sports on the show. We did that in the morning, and we're going to continue with it in the evening show. Now, let's look at the Women's Champions League fixtures as we speak. Some games are ongoing as we speak right now, and then some other games to come up later. For in Group C, we have FC Bayern Munich ladies who will take on Roman Feminine, and the Ajax women will take on PSG Feminines from France. That game between PSG women and Roma is ongoing as we speak. We have Paris Feminines against Haken women. That is where we have Chiamaka Nadozie, our own Chiamaka Nadozie, who has been nominated for the Goalkeeper of the Year for the CAF Awards. Right now, that game is also going on as we speak. That game is in the first half. Of that particular encounter. Paris FC Feminines against Haken women, and Real Madrid Femino, that is the Real Madrid ladies, will be taking on Chelsea women later tonight. So these are some of the games in Group C. And in Group D, we gave some of the results that happened in other games last night, and now we're looking at the fixtures that will happen tonight. Some of the games, the game between Paris FC and Haken women is ongoing, and that of Roma also against Bayern Munich women, that game is ongoing as we speak. In the first half of that particular encounter. So those are some of the games that are lined up tonight in the Women's Champions League. The good news is that we have the likes of Christy Uchebe, we have Asisa Toshola, we have Chiamaka Nadozie, Super Falcon players also playing in the Women's Champions League. So it's a good one. And these 3 players I just mentioned have been nominated for the CAF Women's Award. We know that Asisa Toshola has probably stand a chance of winning the Women's CAF Player of the Year. And then for the Goalkeeper of the Year, Chiamaka Nadozie, I think stands a better chance to win that particular award, because she's playing in the Champions League, and we know her exploit in the FIFA Women's World Cup. For the likes of Uchenna Kanu, Tony Payne, Osinachi Ohale is in Mexico. Rashida Tajibade didn't qualify for the Women's Champions League. Asisa Toshola, Chiamaka Nadozie, Christy Uchebe, all of them are playing in the Women's Champions League. So those games are ongoing, and some other games will come up later tonight, precisely by 7:45 p.m. Nigerian time, just a few hours away from now. Okay, now let's leave the women's football and go straight to the Italian Serie A. Let's look at let's start with this story. Now, Napoli sacks Rudi Garcia and appoint Walter Mazzarri, their former manager who was there for them between 2003 and 2007 with Napoli. Now they say Walter Mazzarri come and take charge for the rest of the season after some poor run of result from Rudi Garcia, a man who was sacked from Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia and went straight to Napoli. It has been a lot of issues. Over the weekend, they lost to Empoli 1-0 at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. Now, because of that, I think Laurent De Laurentiis say, okay, we have had enough from you, Rudi Garcia. It's time to say, okay, they showed him the exit door and they brought back Walter Mazzarri, former manager. He was with this side for about 3 years thereabout in the city of Naples. So for Victor Osimhen over this weekend, he will be having a new manager at the dugout. So it's a good one. Well, I think Napoli's management know why they sack Rudi Garcia. Though if you look at it seriously speaking, they have been having a poor run of form of results. So that is why the plugs was pulled by the manager, by the management of Napoli in showing Rudi Garcia the exit door. So it's for now, Victor Osimhen will be having a new manager in the person of Walter Mazzarri in the Italian Serie A. Okay, let's leave that story and quickly talk about this last one on the show. Let's look at this particular story. It concerns Jadon Sancho of Manchester United, where officials from Juve from Turin have met with Manchester United. Now a plan for a loan move for Jadon Sancho in January is actually in place. Now Juve are looking for a way of offering an escape route for Jadon Sancho, who has been frizzled out of Manchester United squad. We know what happened between him and Erik ten Hag. It was war of words in the media, and Erik ten Hag says Jadon Sancho should apologize, and Jadon Sancho said no, I am not going to apologize. He's standing his ground. Erik ten Hag is also standing his ground, and he has been banished from Carrington, that is from the training ground. He even from anything that concerns Manchester United, Jadon Sancho has been sanctioned from even coming there. So now Juventus say, okay, we are going to offer you an escape route, and that is why the officials from Turin landed in Manchester, and they are planning a loan move for Jadon Sancho. Probably, maybe they might make the deal permanent at the end of the season, or if eventually Erik ten Hag finds it in his heart to forgive Jadon Sancho, who will be reintegrated back into the team and brought back to Manchester. And that is where we'll leave it on the Short Sports Update on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi saying thanks for watching.